Hi, this is Trey Brimmer. I'm with Mitel. Today I'm going to go through the ACD phones, and we're going to start off at the top of the phone, work our way through it, and then go over the voicemail briefly. So let's go ahead and get rolling. First, a couple things to remember. You don't need a 1 for long distance calling. You do need the area code even for local calling. So you'll need area code and phone number, but you won't need a 1. The mailbox password is 1111, and this also will be your ACD login password until you change your voicemail. Once you change your voicemail PIN, it'll also change your login PIN for your ACD login, and we'll kind of cover that a little bit as we move along. If you call 911, don't hang up. Tell the 911 operator that it was a mistake so they don't dispatch. To make an outgoing call, you'll dial 9 before you dial the area code and phone number. Let's take a quick look at the phone. What we're going to do is start up at the top where you see message waiting light, and we're going to work our way down the right-hand side of the phone. Then we're going to go down the center of the phone, and we'll show you all the features that are available. After we're done looking at the phone, we'll then look briefly at the voicemail. Starting at the very top, you can see you have a message indication lamp or light. This will blink when you have new voicemail messages to indicate that you have voicemail. Below that, you have your volume up and down. This adjusts each piece of volume separately. If you pick up your handset, you can use that to adjust your volume on the handset. If you hit the speaker key, which is the next key over, you can adjust your speaker up or down. And when the phone is ringing, if you leave the handset in the cradle, you can adjust the ringer, and then when you pick up the phone, it'll keep that ring volume for you. The next key over, it looks like a horn, is your speaker key. Now on these phones, you don't have to press the speaker key to be on speakerphone. You just leave the handset in the cradle and either dial the extension you want to dial or 9 for an outside line and start dialing the area code and phone number. You'll automatically be on speaker. As soon as you pick up the handset, it immediately goes to your handset. The only time you really need to press the speaker key is if you are on the handset and you'd like to resort back to the speaker. Then you'll press the speaker key once and hang up the handset. The next key, it looks like a clear key, is your mute key. It's got a little microphone with a line through it. This is so you can hear them, but they can't hear you. So if you're on a conference call and you need to listen in, this is a place where you can press and they won't hear background noise going on. The next little section of 6 buttons are fixed function keys. First one is an applications key. This is the blue key on the phone. This is where all the settings are on the phone. We'll kind of explore that after we go down the middle of the phone, but this is where you can press to access things like language, changing the language, font sizes, contrast of the phone. And this is also a key we're going to look at for things like call history, forwarding your phone, and setting up buttons for your phone that are blank on the phone. You have a way you can add in outside numbers that you dial a lot or internal extensions, or if there's a function that you would like to add as a button. The next key over is your cancel key. It's a little circle with an X on it. It's used primarily when you're doing transfers or on a conference call to allow you to cancel where you're at and back up a step. An example of that would be if you go to transfer a call and you accidentally dialed the wrong extension, you can hit cancel. It'll take you back to the caller and you can start over. Redial is the next key. 1, 2, 3 is the arrow key. It'll redial the last internal or outside number that you dialed. The red key on the phone on the next row is your hold key. If you need to place a call on hold, probably works similar to how it works now. You press the red hold key, and then you'll pick the call up off the line key that's flickering. I'll show you where those line keys are when we go down the center of the phone. The transfer conference key is there. That's a dual function key. The first part of it is the transfer. The way you'll do a transfer on the phone is you have a call and you want to transfer it to somebody. You'll press the transfer key. You'll dial the extension of the person you want to transfer it to, and then you hang up the phone to complete. If you wanted to announce it to the person privately, you'll do the same thing. You'll press transfer, dial the extension, and wait on their line. You'll hear their phone ring. They pick up. You can announce it to them, and then hang up the phone to complete and send the call to them. The other part of this key is your conference, and it's almost exactly like transferring. The only difference is you won't hang up. So if you go to set up a conference, the first thing you do is get the first person on the line that you're going to want to do the conference call with. You'll press the conference or transfer conference key. You'll hear dial tone. You can then dial another extension or dial 9 and dial an outside line. When you get the next person on, you say hold on, and you press the key again. It'll add all three of you together. Then if you need to add more members, just repeat. Press the key, dial an outside number or an internal extension, hit the button again, you all connect together. I'll show you on the phone when we go down the center where it'll indicate to you when you have the conference connected. And it'll say 3-person conference, 4-person conference. It'll indicate to you on that. And that's how you'll set it up through this button. The messages key is for you to access your voicemail. We looked at the very top where it had the message indication light. The messages key will also flicker in tandem with that. It's going to give you access into your voicemail. When you press that key by either hitting speaker or picking up the phone, it'll ask for your passcode. That's going to be initially that 1111 we talked about. And then the first time you go in, it's going to have you set up your voicemail. But once you're set up and you have your new PIN in, that PIN will be used each time you go into your voicemail to access it. And all you have to do is hit the messages key, pick up the handset, hit the messages key, or hit speaker, put in your new PIN, and you're in. There's not a lot of mystery here. It will walk you through it. Now let's look starting at the top of the phone down the center of the keys and the areas that are on that part of the phone. First thing we have to do is hot desk in to the phone. You're an agent, so this will be called ACD hot desking. Hot desking just means that you're logging in as an agent. When you're looking at the phone initially, it'll look like this. You'll notice I circled up top. It says locked, and it says hot desk, and I circled the button you would press to hot desk into the phone. Also notice at the bottom I circled that you have a pound in your extension number, so it's 1 pound 0004 in this example. It'll be whatever extension you're sitting at. The pound is also to give you a visual kind of clue that you're locked out. In the phone in this status where it's locked and you have the pound in there and it's asking you to hot desk in, will only dial 911 or the operator. So it's very limited. So the first thing you need to do is go ahead and hot desk in. So the first thing you'll do is press the key that's corresponding to where it says hot desk, the one I have circled there. It's then going to ask you to log in. You'll press the key next to log in. And then you'll put in the extension. In our case, our extension number, or our ACD login number, is the same as the extension without the pound. And it may be the case on your phones as well. So all you have to do is put in your extension number, say OK. And then it's going to ask you, it's a little blurry here, but you can see it asks you for your PIN. Remember, if you haven't set up your voicemail, which you probably haven't, because it's the first time you're logging into your phone, the password's going to be 1111, just like your voicemail. Now remember, when you change your voicemail PIN, you'll also be changing your login PIN. And this is the login you'll do every day. The best practice is that you'll log in the morning, log out at night, and then in between you'll make yourself busy. And I'll show you what that key looks like here in a second. So this is where you'll put in your PIN. You'll say OK, and then it's going to log into your phone and look like this. So you'll notice up top, it immediately says Make Busy, and you can also see, if you look over to the right-hand side, it has a Make Busy button that's lit up. So initially when you log in, you're in a Make Busy status, and Make Busy is a lot like Do Not Disturb for that ACD group. An ACD group works where a call is introduced to the group, one person at a time. If that person doesn't answer it and is available, it'll log them out of the phone completely and move to the next agent. So it's really important to make yourself busy when you're at lunch, or you take a break, or you're away from your phone, or if you're doing some business at your desk where maybe following up on a customer or making an outbound customer call. So make sure you make yourself busy. And you can see it's indicated by both a light at the button and it says it up top. Now let's look at the very top and work our way down on this. You'll see, number one, you have a little indicator that you're present, that little fella up there in the corner. It also shows you the date and time. It'll always display that. Then there's a hard line, and beyond the hard line to the dotted line is a little informational area. First of all, it's telling you you're Make Busy, but it'll also tell you, this is also where you'll look to when you're doing conference calling. It'll tell you how many people are in the conference call, 3-person conference, 4-person conference. It'll also give you the caller identification indication up there. You'll notice that there's no buttons associated to it, so it's informational only. So anytime you hear your phone make a ring spurt or you have a ring in call coming, you can look to this area to see the information about the call. You know, is it internal? Is it an outside call? What's the caller ID? And also indicates to you different statuses that your phone's in. Make busy is one of them. When the phone is idle and you're not in make busy, you'll notice that that area up there will tell you the last call that you dialed. So it'll say redial, and when you hit that 1, 2, 3 arrow key, that's what it's going to be redialing. Below the dotted line is a dynamic area that changes depending on the conditions of the phone. Right now the phone is idle, so it's offering you the phone book, which will allow you to look up people within your organization by last name. It'll be company-wide, so you'll be able to look up anybody at any of the offices by last name. You can, if there's several people with the same last name, you'll notice that when you use that book, it'll give you the ability to search and then call that person. You'll also notice it shows a messaging key. That's exactly like the envelope key that we looked at earlier, so you can access your voicemail by that key, or you can go ahead and use the other key. So it gives you some of the same features that you will see as buttons on the phone, but it'll indicate them in the soft area. Below that hard line are buttons that we designed for you. Let's go ahead and start over on the right-hand side of the screen. I wanted to first point out that there's the ACD log out. So that's how you're going to log out of the group at the end of the day. So when you're done for the day, you'll press the button, it'll say logged out, and then it does take your phone off hook, so you will need to hang up the phone to complete the log out. There's your make busy. That's the button you'll get really used to. You'll need to press that every time you take a break or you go to lunch. Anytime you can't answer an inbound call. If you forget to do that, remember that it will log you out if you miss a call. So you want to make sure that you're not available. That way the customer doesn't hear additional 3 or 4 rings before it logs you out and moves to the next person. If you have a wired headset, we put a headset on and off button on there. When it's lit, you are in headset mode. In the back of your phone, you'll notice that there's a little input for a headset, and that's where the headset would be plugged into. And hopefully someone will come around and help you get that set up. So if you do have a headset and we're cutting you over, you might want to leave your headset up on your desk so we can get to it and plug it in. D&D is do not disturb. Now, do not disturb is similar to make busy, but the difference between make busy and do not disturb is make busy will take you out of the ACD ringing group, but do not disturb will shut off your phone for all inbound traffic. It'll send all your calls to voicemail except for ACD calls. So it's kind of 2 separate controls. The idea would be that you can make yourself busy, but you can still have people internally calling your extension. Or you can have somebody from the outside ring your desk that isn't an ACD call or a group call. So you have 2 ways to control what comes into your phone. You'll notice then there's 2 blank keys. There's sheet keys without anything listed. Those are available for you to program to be whatever you would like. So maybe there's a feature you recognize that you'd like, or maybe there's a extension that you work with internally a lot, or an outside number you'd like on there. There's 2 opportunities there that you could go ahead and fill those in with whatever you like to customize the phone. Beyond that, you see it says outline, and then it has the extension number. It'll have your extension number there. This one has the extension number to the test phone I'm using. But the outline is sort of like a secondary line key. It doesn't ring for inbound calls. It's only for outside calls. The idea is that you only get 1 call at a time when you're a member of this ACD ring group or hunt group. And that way, if you have a call and you need to make a call out to a supervisor or maybe just include someone else into it, you have a button you can press to get another line. But no calls will ring into that line. The extension number you see, the 10004 in my case, that'll be blinking when a new call comes in, and it'll take over that extension with the caller identification on that line. So you'll see caller ID not only up top, but you'll see it along the line where you see the extension number now. Okay. Now let's look over at the left-hand side of the phone, starting at the top. You notice that we've listed Phoenix, Austin, Seattle, Denver, Rochester, St. Louis, DFW, which is Dallas, Fort Worth, and then Charlotte on this page. The reason for those buttons are so you can dial out locally through one of those buttons. So if you needed to make a call that looked like it was coming from Phoenix, you'll press the key next to the Phoenix label, and then dial 9 and the phone number like you would normally. So that way it's dialing out Phoenix for you. Now if you look at the very bottom, you can't really see really good on this picture, but down at the very bottom there's arrow keys. There's a left and right arrow, and then there's a little house, which means home. This is your home page, but there's 2 additional pages available. And if you look right under Charlotte, you'll see it says star, 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 and 1. And then if you look over to the right-hand side, you can see there's a little page that's, the first page is kind of darkened in, and there's 2 more pages. That means that there's additional keys available to you. So let's look at the second bunch of keys. Here's the second page. You can see here we continued with the other sites. So you got Tampa, Chicago, Las Vegas, Miami, and Kansas City. That isn't calling them. It's allowing you to look like you're calling out of those locations. So you'll press the button, press 9, dial the number, and it'll show the caller ID for the local Tampa location. But you'll also notice down at the very bottom it says 2. And we have keys on either side, so you have 8 blank keys over on the right side, and it looks like you have about 3 additional keys over on the left side that you can program to be phone numbers, extension numbers, or a feature. Then you'll notice that there's still one more page that'll have 16 additional keys that you can program. So there's plenty of real estate here for you to kind of customize this phone to be exactly like you want. Okay? So that's it on the phone part. I want to go back to this applications key, kind of brush through. It's a blue key that we looked at the very beginning. This is where all the settings and how you're going to set up those blank keys on your phone. So let's go ahead and look at the applications key. When you press it, this will come up on your screen. You'll notice that everything that you have availability to is below the hard line, below where it says closed. Well, first thing it says is people. So let's kind of talk about what's here for you. The people accounts are available for you to program in contacts. Like if you're working with somebody, you don't want to burn a button for them on your phone, you have additional resources here that you can add in contact name and a phone number or an extension number if you're working with somebody. And you can access this people account and look at those numbers and call them from here. You also have a voicemail. You won't be using that. That's a visual voicemail thing, and it's logged out, it says. Call history. This is where the last 20 calls that you've either dialed or received or missed will show up. If you ever look at this page and the call history light is lit, it just means that you missed a call. So if you ever miss a call, it's going to light that light. Call forward is available here. Call forward is the ability to forward these phones off premises. You won't be using that as an ACD agent because it'll mess up how the phones work, so you won't be able to use that one. You don't have a conference unit attached here. Settings, we're going to look at that in a second, but to round it off, you have a super key, which sounds really cool, but really all it does is allows you to go in and change the ringtone. There's 10 different ringtones that you can pick from. So if you need a little help with that when I'm on site, I can help you change your ringtone. But if you press the button and you keep scrolling through until you hit ringtone or ring adjust, I believe it says, you can adjust the ringer. Call information is the last call that came in, and you do have the ability with the last call to go ahead and save it as a people account from here. So when you look at that call information, you do have the ability to save it. So if you have a call and you want to go ahead and save that call to your people account, you can do that. Now there's a couple more pages on here, but I'm not really going to show you those. It has more to do with when these phones are used as teleworker phones, some settings that you can change. So let's go ahead and look at the settings. So when I press settings, it brings us to this key, and you can see that the first thing it offers you is programmable keys. That's what you're going to do to set up any of the blank keys that you want to set up. So you have, 16 on one page, you have another 10 on another page, and 2 on the front page that you can set up to be an outside number, an extension number, or a feature. So we'll look at that, but just looking at the rest of the stuff, there's language settings. If you speak a different language, you want your phone to reflect, you can set it up through there. Text size, what you're looking at on my display is the large. You can go a little smaller. The only reason to go a little smaller is if you want to see name and number show up on the key, then you can go to the smaller text size. You don't have to worry about any of the call notification. The brightness and contrast, that's just how bright the display is, how deep the lines are. It should be set for you. Screensaver, you want to avoid. It'll look like your phone's broken. and the rest of those are just settings for the phone that you won't really need. So let's go ahead and look at programmable keys. That's how we're going to set up those blank keys on the phone. When I press programmable keys, you'll notice up top it says assign a feature to this key. What I'm doing is I'm missing a step here because it's kind of hard to show you, but the first thing it'll ask you is to select a key. You can use the big keys at the bottom to scroll through and pick a blank key, and you just press the blank key that you want to program. Once you press it, this is what you're going to see before you. You're going to see assign a feature to this key. Now, it starts below where you see the line just above the close key. It starts with speed call, private speed call, and then it starts through a listing of features. The first feature on there is music. That's like your music on hold, but you'll notice that if you look at the bottom, it says 1 of 6. So there's actually 6 pages of different features. So let's just say you don't like the transfer key. You can never figure out where that is. You could conceivably put a transfer key just right there on your phone. So there is some customization you can do. Most of it is already represented by a key, and some of it's not even available to you. So you can look through there and see if you see anything. So mostly what I'm going to talk about is the speed call or the private speed call. To set up a speed call or a private speed call, you'll press one of those keys. The only difference between a speed call and a private speed call is the private speed call will not display the number. So that way, if you want to put your home number on your phone, but you don't want people walking past your desk and looking at your home phone number, you can make it a private speed call. Both of them set up exactly the same. So press one of those, depending on what you want to set up. When you press that, it's going to say, hey, let's label it and number it. So the first thing you want to do is hit the key that says Edit Information. That's going to allow you access into the name or the label first. Okay? Once you press that, it's going to bring up a little cursor where it says Label, and you can see that it brings up this funky little keypad. It's actually pretty easy to use. Over on the left-hand side, all you have to do is press the key to the corresponding letter and pause. So you just keep pressing continuously. So if I wanted to spell something like mom, I would press the key right next to the I and press it until I got to the M and pause for a second. It'll add the M up top. Then I can start again and go over to the O and pause, and they'll bring the O up top. Once I get the name in, I'll hit Edit Number. You'll also notice down below it says Next Page and Previous Page. If you hit those, you'll get capital letters, you'll get dashes and dots. So you get a lot of ways to customize that label. Once you get the label in the way you want, we'll then hit Edit Number. Once you hit the Edit Number, it's going to ask you for the number, and you'll just use the keypad at this point to dial in the phone number, remembering that you need you don't need a 1 for long distance, but you do need area code and phone number for all calls, including local. So if I was going to put in a number for mom, I would put 9 for outgoing, the area code, and the phone number. You'll notice down below it does have a flash and a pause. I probably won't use the flash much, but the pause can be used for things like if you're calling into a conference bridge that has a PIN number, you can put in the number and put a couple pauses in there, and then put in the PIN number. It may save you a step. So that's how you set up one of those buttons. And you can do each button. Once I'm done putting in the number, I'm going to say OK, and then I'll hit Save, and then I'll be out of that screen. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is the message key. We talked about that briefly. There's a couple things message key will do for you. One is if I wanted to transfer a call, I have a call in my hand and I want it to go straight to someone's voicemail, I can press that message key and then dial your extension and hang up the phone, and it'll send the call. So that's a nice feature. This is also how you'll access your voicemail message. Now, I do want to tell you the best practice would be to pick up the handset or press speaker first, because depending on the conditions, it may take you through a visual voicemail where you could have to hit more buttons to get to your voicemail. But if you pick up the handset every time or hit speaker first, get in the habit of doing that, it'll always function the same way. So speaker, message, put in your PIN, it'll ask for it, and then you're in. It'll start playing your messages for you. Here's just kind of a quick layout of how the voicemail works. When you dial in, you have a couple different options. First of all, you can press a key 8 and you get to your user options. This is going to let you change your greeting, change your name, change your password. You can set up a distribution list, or you can listen to the tutorial again. So there's some things you can do there. You can go ahead and play voicemail messages, new messages. When you press the key, it'll allow you to go in and play the messages, and then afterwards it'll let you give them to somebody else. call the person back who sent it. You can keep it, so that way you can hang on to that message as a saved message. Or you can go straight into creating a new message, or you can discard the message. When you're making a message, if you press 6 and you're ready to create one, you can go ahead and record it, and then you punch in the extension number you want to send it to record it, and then you have the ability to go back and review it, or append it, or discard it and start over again, or exit out of the menu completely. You can also put delivery options on there. You notice over there you have a confidential, which means that it can't be forwarded to anyone else. You can get a return receipt, which will tell you when the person has listened to it. You can mark things as urgent, which will move it to the front of their list and notify them when they go into their voicemail that they have an urgent message. And you can mark things for future delivery, like if I wanted to send things all out at the same time, 5 o'clock every day for some reason, I could do that. So there's a nice little layout. You'll get something about the voicemail given out to you electronically that you can print off also. But main thing to remember is your initial password is going to be 1111. But once you go in the first time to your voicemail, it's going to have you set up a new passcode, your name, and a greeting. So you should prepare yourself to have a new password figured out and what you're going to say in your greeting. So get kind of those things figured out before you sit down and set up your voicemail for the first time. So hopefully that helped you out. I'll be at your office, and if you have any follow-up questions, we can definitely go over it. But thank you very much for your time, and good luck.